Ready, John? Total?
Yeah.
At this time, the March 28, 2016 Special City Council meeting will reconvene. The Honorable Mayor Bob Oderkirk presiding. Mayor?
Jim?
I just asked the question of what the Thursday concert with Pauly Shore and the group was going to cost and be under $50,000, but right about that number.
Under?
Yes.
So I think the question that's left is whether you have permission to forward the money for the taxes out of the 440 that we've allotted and forward the money for the two shows.
And have authorization to pay for those two shows.
And then you will prepare an intergovernmental agreement that we will vote on next week. It'll be presented on Monday's meeting.
Yes,
And then Tuesday, we vote on it. Wednesday, the Rialto has their meeting.
yes.
I think one thing that should be made, at least it's the position, is that what we were going to propose in the intergovernmental agreement, we expect to be adopted by the Rialto, correct?
Yes.
I would so move, Your Honor.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to authorize the city manager to forward the $140,000 to pay the back pay and federal taxes directly to the federal government. Authorized to cover the two booked shows, but no additional, and to bring forward an intergovernmental agreement to the April 5th meeting.
Mayor, can we amend that to say state and federal payroll taxes excluding interest or penalty?
So moved.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
I almost feel like I shouldn't vote because it's no secret I voted against the original 600,000 because of my concerns and lack of information and answers that I asked for. Now it's been nearly 3 weeks, of which I know 2 weeks Mr. Regis has been refused access. I've always said all along that I would not even consider approving fronting any money here if Mr. Regis wasn't in there. That opportunity's been missed. I will vote no.
Excuse me, Mayor, point of order here. You made a motion, but it was seconded, so we didn't get the permission from the Mr. Mudrin to redo the motion. So I think you.
Redo the
He has
second.
to rescind his second, you have to rescind your first, and then make a whole new motion.
Rescinded.
Rescinded. Okay, the motion is to pay the back payroll taxes,
let the
state,
clerk-
okay, you say it, Krista. Yeah,
pressure.
you say it, Krista.
Okay, it's a motion to authorize the city manager to pay the state and federal taxes without interest to cover the funding for the two shows that are currently booked, but no additional ones, and bring forward an intergovernmental agreement at the April 5th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded to approve. We'll start at the beginning. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
What I said before, no.
Councilman McFarland. I'm sorry, it's the third time I said. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
The only way I'm voting for this is because I do love the Rialto. However, when this intergovernmental agreement comes to paper and is presented before the board next week, in my mind, it's non-negotiable. So I'm only voting for this with the understanding that our Inspector General has full disclosure and full access to the Rialto and all their books. Otherwise, I'm going to fight to withhold the rest of the funding for the Rialto. I never thought I would say this because I truly love it. And it's coming under a dark cloud right now because it's going to be celebrating its 90th anniversary on May 24th. But I just cannot, I just cannot in good conscience do it again, bailout after bailout after bailout. But those are my conditions, and today is the last day. I will vote aye for this unless something comes to fruition in the future with this intergovernmental agreement with no conditions. So I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-1.
I think that's it. If I, just a comment, Mr. Vera, thank you for bringing this forward a few weeks ago. You've opened yourself up to a lot of scrutiny and criticism but I believe you did the right thing by coming forward, so thank you. And again, to the other board members, Ms. Tyler, Ms. Gannon, who came tonight. And I think that's it. Thanks to the council for showing up. I know this was an off night.
We do have citizens to be heard yet on non-agenda items this evening.
Can somebody explain what the basis was for the closed session that just occurred?
The question was the basis for the closed session. We discussed the intergovernmental agreement
Yes.
being proposed.
Yes.
Negotiations, when I asked.
Come to the mic, please. Name and address.
Robert Ocon, 31105 Ringy Drive, Joliet. I just asked my question.
Okay, thank you.
Chris Pedersen did sign up to speak as well.
Statesman IFB Pro Christo Person 702 Vine Street, Joel North 605. To this distinguished body of councilmen and councilwomen, I want to address full council, Leo County Chief City Manager James Sack, in the direction of the great city of Joliet, City of Chambers, Crossroads, America at this time. I want to see our city liaison, Pat Mudgeon, work hand in hand to bring the proper funding to Rialto Square Theater the first of every fiscal month of every fiscal year. I also want to see the city council make sure general manager Randy Green can stay in control of as general management at Rialto Square Theater, if I could have council approval.
Anyone else?
Alice Fabre, 701 Kingsway. I guess I would just question how an intergovernmental agreement would fall under negotiations, but
Anyone else?
Candace Johnson, Joliet. There was a statement made tonight that Vera told the council as soon as he found out that the taxes were not being paid. And March 14th in the Herald newspaper, there was an article, and it stated that the city officials, however, said Vera knew of the problem as early as mid-December. And then he left it up to Green to pay those taxes. He did not come to city council until February. So I believe the statement tonight was not true. Also, the Rialto in January of 2011 roughly took out a loan. It was a balloon payment loan of $2.6 million. That balloon payment loan, the balloon part, is coming up due, I believe, next year. And I would like to know if the Rialto has any ideas of how they're going to be paying it, since they're in the predicament that they are currently in. And I'm also asking for the entire Rialto board to step down. At least anyone who's been there for a year or more, because we need to get new faces and new ideas and new perspectives into that Rialto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just 1 second, sir. Thank you. In response to that comment, there's been a lot of talk tonight about replacing board members on the Rialto board and internal operations of the board. It's important for people to remember that the Rialto board is created by an act of the state legislature. It's created and authorized by a state statute. So the city council, there's no mechanism in place to replace individual board members or impose board limits. Any internal changes to the structure of the Rialto board's got to come from the state legislature, and that's simply beyond the powers of the city council.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Jen Sheridan. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your transparency, although I do have a question about the closed session. Councilwoman Gavin, good to see you here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
And first time I agree with you 100% everything you've said. Brought me down here tonight, so put that on the record.
Oh.
That's a good one. Mark it down, girl.
Well, I'll mark that one down.
Mark it down. I want to caution you, you don't want another another Evergreen situation here, where you invest money in a unit, a government unit or a property or whatever, and you don't have any control, no keys to the front door, no say in what goes on. And it was alluded to here a minute ago, there's a lot of other expenses that are not being talked about besides the state taxes and federal taxes. You know, you've got the expenses about the chimney repair, remember that being an issue. You've got the boiler. She talked about the $2 million plus that is due in December, I believe. There's a lot more in the payroll taxes. There's $800K in the foundation. Should be looked at. Bylaws can be changed. If you can't touch the principal, then change the bylaws and help the Rialto out. I do agree with you in your situation about the board members, but I will say to you and to the city and to the board members, if you truly love the Rialto, then step down. because it is proven that history does repeat itself with the recent articles that appeared in Facebook about the financial problems with the Rialto about every 10, 15, 20 years. We got the same problem. Look at how many people have been on that board for that length of time. It's time to have people step down again. It's been over there for a year. Term limits, somebody alluded to earlier tonight, that is a must. Maybe a couple people did. That is a must. And again, that's directed with the bylaws and the way it is right now. To their attorney, I say to you, sir, that if the city walked in and paid my bills and wanted to talk to anybody in my house and look at anything I do, they're more than welcome to do anything they want if they're going to pay my bills. I'm not going to restrict them on certain issues. That's what a handout is. I'm grateful that the city is doing that for me, and I'm grateful the city is trying to save the Rialto. I worked at those 3 theaters downtown for years when I was in high school. You can't give them another revenue source like the sales tax on the hotels or whatever with no oversight. You just can't do that. It's going to be, again, a windfall of money mismanagement with the same board they have. I'm not certain about your position as Attorney General investigating the Rialto with what I remember of the job descriptions that were created and so on, without maybe some adjustments to that job description. That certainly can be done, but that's just my opinion. But we all need to agree that the Rialto needs to try to be saved. But again, be very careful on what you're doing so you don't have another Evergreen Terrace and you're stuck holding the bag. Thank you.
My name is Tyler Kelly, 1415 Frederick Street. I've been a stagehand, third-generation stagehand. I worked as an intern within the Rialto. I've also started a youth action committee to try and help the Rialto. They kept boasting that they were going to diversify, go after other demographics. So I tried to get youth groups together to come in and present list after list of ideas, and it was met with nothing but apathetic tendencies. People just looked at it and said, we tried that before. It wouldn't work. It's not going to work in Joliet. We can't have that here. That would bring in the wrong crowd. I tried time and time again. I would have closed meeting sessions with Randy, Annette Parker, Trish Stoner, and they would laugh at me. These ideas are laughable. These will not make revenue. These will not bring in more people. This is not going to revitalize the downtown. The city council had a consulting group come in, so this is something that you guys already know about. Well, a consulting group come in that stated that this could be a mecca for young adults. We have JJC, St. Francis, and Lewis University. We have the train station. People are taking that money elsewhere. There's nothing to do downtown. If you get rid of the Rialto, you don't fund the Rialto, there's going to be absolutely nothing to do downtown. You said yourself, JJC is going to be opening up shortly. Those kids are going to need something to do. We need to get younger people in the Rialto, as in the administration office. I don't really believe that it's the board's fault right here. It's people who are every day working in the operations that are having these issues. I was laughed at by 3 of them because I was presenting ideas that could possibly benefit them. That was absolutely devastating to me, that people who I'm trying to help are laughing at my efforts and efforts of the youth of the community. Now, I'm getting really furious right now just thinking about it, but I pretty much walked out of one of those sessions because of the fact that all of my opinions were just kind of pushed down because, as they said, it wouldn't work in Joliet. It will work in Joliet. You need to have people who have that mindset that, yes, it will work. Yes, we can do this here. And if not, try it once, try it twice, try it 3 times. Just keep working at it. It's infuriating that people are just giving up. And I'm absolutely grateful that you guys are doing what you can right now to help save this place. I want to be able to come back here in like 30 years and this place is still thriving. I want to see the downtown be what it was supposed to be what the councilmen and women have tried to make it. So I think it's the administration office, people that work there, that kind of have to step down, not so much the board. And it's just my opinion, but thank you for hearing me.
This is our future right here, the youth.
Mike Morgan, 3310 Waterford Drive, Joliet. It was asked of Mr. Smith at a recent WCMEAA board meeting whether he was going to step down or not. And he said he serves at the discretion of the governor, I'd like to remind you, the governor, that put him in is Jim Egger. So he needs to go. Every time Green was in here telling you his fibs, who was standing by his side? Jim Smith, who was the chairman of the board until recently, Jim Smith. I think 16 years, 17 years there is long enough. He needs to go, and there needs to be term limits with the foundation. It's a private club of exclusive people in the area, and that needs to change. That's all I have to say.
Hi, my name's Karen Ward, Douglas, Joliet, Illinois. I wasn't going to speak tonight because it's a very emotional subject for me. My great aunt worked with the Reuben brothers back in 1925, 26. They had a very small staff at the time, and I know her passion for the Rialto, and it saddens me, and I know it would sadden her as well. I knew her for 13 years before she passed, and all she talked about was the Rialto and how hard she worked to help get it opened. I'll read what I wrote. I found out about her love and dedication to the Rialto. She tirelessly worked with her boss, his brothers, and the others to create our jewel of Joliet, the People's Palace. I can honestly say that she would be very disgusted about others' actions which caused this turmoil. I consider the Rialto not only a part of Joliet's legacy, but all of ours as well. It also saddens me because those who are not invested in Joliet just have their own agendas and not in the love, dedication of our city and its rich and full history. There definitely needs to be change. Change on the board, change in how things are done. When the Rialto has been used for some individuals' own country club purposes and been exclusionary to many, is truly a slap in the face to the founders. The Rialto is meant for all people. I can remember one story my great aunt had told me. This is they were getting prepared for the grand opening. The day of the opening, she said she went home to get prepared for the opening, and when she came back, the block was surrounded by people. So many that she could not get back in. So she stood across the street watching the people marvel at their palace. This is the way it should be, as it was intended for all. Thank you.
Any other citizens to be heard? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.